Oh, another warm August night, and as sun has set and twilight setting in, glowing in my backyard is Scorpius the Scorpion. And what a gorgeous red star its heart is, called Antares, that star, the heart of Scorpion. And you're going to learn all about it as we're going to your backyard and staying star curious today. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Mark Marquette, and we are here out in outer space, actually in a beautiful star pattern called the Jewel Box, just one of the hidden gems of Scorpio the Scorpion that's right in your backyard tonight, and you can see some of these faint fuzzies with your pair of binoculars, which is one of the best ways to get interested and explore the night sky as an amateur astronomer. Welcome everybody on our Stay Curious, Star Curious, like I said, Backyard Astronomy, to check off the box of our science, technology, engineering, arts, and math programs that we do here in downtown Titusville at the American Space Museum, where for over 21 years, 25 years, we've been preserving the birth of America's space age right where it all began, Brevard County. And I'm pleased to give Marty a day off today, my co-producer for over 5 years. Matthew Raj is manning the Streamlabs board today. Matthew, you see any questions popping up there that need answered immediately, let me know. I've pretty much got a educational program in mind here, but we will take any and all questions there that are appropriate. So let me get set here with what we're going to talk about as another busy day here at the American Space Museum. And Matthew, it's always fun to be me, as you found out quickly in the last year that you've been hanging out here, and you're smiling because I never know who's going to walk in the door. Okay, I talked to a German fella today.
Klaus.
What?
Klaus.
Klaus from Germany, and we did a remote with Rob Mecklenburg in the Netherlands on his phone. Hi, Rob. And Abigail Glover, who was a star guest last week, dropped me off some simulated lunar highlands soil, simulating soil on the surface of the moon for us to put in our boot display case there. Abigail says it right on there at the top. And from Exolith, Lunar Highland Simulant, okay? And so it's heavier than it looks. It's as heavy as sand looks like in there. It's coarse as sand, but much finer. Right? It'd be as coarse as any sand in your finger there, Raj. We were playing with it a little bit there. So this is going to find its way in our exhibit of our simulated lunar boot with some lunar stuff. She's going to bring me some Maria too, and maybe we'll split them up in there. But until then, grateful for this. Thank you, young lady Abigail Glover. Go check out her Stay Curious program last week on our YouTube channel. And here's a little bit of advertising we did. Raj, you know how to move that over a little bit there. All right, get back. Yes, that's okay the way it is there. This is a good weekend to do a little backyard stargazing, and I'll explain why in a minute. But you need a star chart, okay? I've got several star charts around here. Where's mine? My Jerry, I wonder where that one went. I got a couple star charts here that, looking for my special one, signed by Skylab astronaut Jerry. Who am I thinking of? Jerry, well, where is it? Okay, I'm not going to find it. I'm not going to look any further. It could be anywhere. These are two charts that are popular to have. These are called planispheres. Okay, the night sky. All right. This one is for latitudes 20 to 30 degrees where we're at. Dave Stange, our good friend up in Michigan, at a latitude of in the 40s. He would have a different one on there. But this planisphere wheel, you take on the outside your time of day here, and then the month is here on the bottom. So if I line up, it's going to get dark at 9 o'clock, and I line it up with August 15th, today's date, at 9 o'clock, like right there. This is, over here's August, and I'm lining that up with the time of 9 o'clock. This is the sky that you're going to look at. And a blue band, of course, is the Milky Way. And the Milky Way is beautiful right now. You go out as the night's best time to sit out, I say all the time, is get in a lawn chair, get comfortable in the twilight, make sure mosquito repellent, you got a nice beverage, maybe a snack there, your binoculars, you might need a little light blanket as the dew starts to drop, even start looking up. Let your eyes get dark adapted, and that is so important, Raj, to let your eyes get dark adapted. What does that mean? Simple. Your pupil of your eye expands in the dark. Humans can see in the dark by that happening. And outside, like on the beach or bright sunny days, it's a small little hole in your pupil. And then at night, it gets larger. So the analogy I always use is you go to bed, you turn the lights off, you don't see anything in your room as you're yawning and stretching out to go to sleep. 5 minutes later, you look around, you see every knick-knack on the shelf and the dirty laundry that you didn't put in the hamper on the floor, and where the heck's my remote? Okay, so that's what we talk about. And then when you go inside the bright light, your eyes go back to that less sensitive opening in your iris, and you have to start all over again when you go back out. So we use red flashlights to look at, and I didn't bring one of mine, use red cellophane or red light to look at charts and maps with these. If you used a white light, it would ruin your night vision. So get out with a red light, enjoy your vision. There's so many ambient lights, though, in your neighborhood, you might be able to read this without it. You're going to see about third magnitudes, the faintest star in your backyard. That's all the stars of the Big Dipper and most of the stars of the Little Dipper in the north. But you're going to see most of the stars of Scorpius, main body, if you will, in your backyard, though a couple of them will be pretty faint. I'm under no illusion that you're going to see the Milky Way in all of its splendor like the pictures I'm going to show you today. You need to go out in the country to do that, and that's another worthwhile trip, but make sure you're not on somebody's property, which I've done many times. And you know, forgiveness, ignorance is sometimes bliss, and forgiveness is always asked for there. But once in a while, to see something, I've parked my car and lawn chair and telescope on a road or something that, you know, all of a sudden somebody's driving up and going, what the heck you doing here? And so the fun stories of being an amateur astronomer for so long. And also, something I like to bring out about the night as we're looking at this evening star chart is the sounds of the night. Of course, you hear the cadence of the insects all over. You might be near some water and hear some croaking frogs. Bats are going to be flying around, okay? You might be surprised at the noises coming out of the neighbor's house, okay? Or didn't know that there's a cat wandering around your backyard every night. So these are sort of the fun things of getting away from the social media attention of television and our phones and in tablets, and I'm as guilty as anybody. But when I get outside, I want to stay out there for a good hour and relax and take in the sights and sounds of the universe ahead of me here over my head, and Earth being just a small fragment of this wonderful universe that's so filled with wonders. And there's all kinds of backyard wonders to see through telescopes. There's a new wave of telescopes called SEESTAR, SEESTAR, that are basically cameras that are downloading images of the sky about what binoculars will see. And those of you that have gotten those, or if you're into stargazing, you might want one for Christmas. SEESTAR, very affordable and very amazing. Some of these things that I'm going to show you, a few of them you can see easily after a half-hour download of images on this telescope computer camera that will be real prevalent as technology changes. But I'm a good stargazer with telescopes that I push around. Not too many of them have motors on them. Those match the motion of the Earth to keep objects in view so they don't move out. And looking forward to cooler weather, longer nights, and fall to do some serious stargazing as the planets Saturn, Mars, and Jupiter will all be visible this fall and winter. Well, the star chart here I copied is from Sky Maps, a free source, okay? And some of the features that we're going to look at that I bring out, you can download this for free. The Milky Way is, of course, the blue band across there. There are 3 stars when you go outside at night, and I want you to look up to the east. That would be with your back to where the sun was set. And you're going to see 3 stars in the middle there that form the summer triangle. I didn't put a slide up on that, but believe me, on this chart, they're dot to dots right over there. And there are 3 constellations: Cygnus the Swan, Aquila the Eagle, and Lyra the Harp. And the brightest 3 stars, Vega in Lyra, Deneb in Cygnus, and Altair in Aquila, make up 3 bright stars that you can't miss. In fact, one of the rocket launches last night, Raj, went in between there, and the commentators on went between these stars. That was the, I think it was the NRO Vulcan of United Launch Alliance's National Reconnaissance payloads on there. And one of the commentators on the feed I was watching says, "I'm not an amateur astronomer. I don't know what those 3 stars are, but they certainly stick out." And the Milky Way is actually in between those, up high. And then when you look south into the evening sky, south for us is looking at Miami. South for Dave Stange up in Michigan, or Tom Celentano up there in Connecticut is looking at Florida, okay? You're going to see a fish hook. You're going to see, ancients called it a lot of different things, and I'll get to that here in a minute. But this is a good star chart. On the left-hand side, it tells you the day of the week. On the 16th, tomorrow, the moon is at last quarter. All right. How old is the moon when it's at last quarter? All right. To speak like an astronomer, I'm going to show you that here in just a minute. So, priming you up to get out in the backyard this weekend. The moon is in the late evening sky. The moonshine won't interfere looking at the Milky Way until about 11 o'clock tonight. So, and then be 12 o'clock the night before, the next night. And then 1 o'clock the night after will be moonrise. So about an hour later each night is the moonrise. We want to remind everybody that we've unleashed to the hounds the save the date. You space hounds out there, Shuttlefest 5, NASA at Star City, American astronauts on Russian spaceships will be the Star City Saturday event at the Hilton Cocoa Beach Hotel, a beautiful hotel. Nonprofit fundraiser for our museum. We did pretty well last Shuttle Fest, raising almost $10,000 for the museum, thanks to many of you. And then Sunday's going to be Space Shuttle Sunday. We've already got some pledged astronauts to help us a lot. Thank you, Steve Jokums. When he saw the poster here that I sent him, he said, "Doesn't have the shuttle on it, and it's Shuttle Fest." And you're right, my friend. I'm going to revise that a little bit. But we want to get people excited about something they don't get anywhere else, and that's going to be astronauts who are involved at Star City, like Mike Baker, who was the director of operations there for like 3 or 4 years. Don Thomas, we're going to have Don back if he'll have us. He was a director of operations at Star City as an astronaut that didn't fly but flew other American astronauts on this Soyuz spacecraft. So we've got a commitment also for Space Shuttle Sunday from Tom Jones. And today, astronaut Jose Hernandez told Marty and I personally, at the astronaut encounter at Kennedy Space Center Visitors Complex. Jose said, yes, I will be at Shuttle Fest in June. So we got a lot of layers with Jose. We're going to probably center our fundraising Friday around Jose's winery and have a wine tasting here. So save the date. We're putting the budget together to see how much we have to charge for this amazing event, but it will be affordable and it will be something that everyone will talk about. Why weren't you there? Thanks to Carlton Bailey yesterday for a wonderful program. CB is a launch photographer of over 700 rocket launches, and here he is seeing the Orion spacecraft that's going to go, pass by the moon for Artemis 2. They just finished fueling that up and getting it ready to put on top of the stack, I believe. So Carlton we're going to have him on about the second Thursday of the month and talk about some of the missions he photographed as a photojournalist for a lot of the magazines and now the social media pages. Who's orbiting Earth? You know, I'm not going to let you get by the end of the week without asking you, hey, how many people are orbiting the Earth, Raj? You got an idea?
Safe guess is around 11.
You go for 11. All right. Well, not too bad. We had 14. 4 came back. Now we've got 10 humans orbiting the Earth. We've got the Shenzhou 20, which means heavenly boat, or at the Tiangong space station, the Heavenly Palace up there. It's less than a third the size and volume of occupancy of the International Space Station, but still been up there about 6 years. They got 5 crews that they've rotated out. The 6th one will go up in about a month. They're scheduled to come back in end of October. So they'll be up there for another 2 months, a full 7 months. Those 3 tachionauts. 2 of them rookie, by the way. And Chen on the far left, this is his 3rd flight. These are tachionauts that could be walking on the moon at the end of the decade, no doubt about it. And then we've got 7 astronauts on the International Space Station. That includes 3 Americans. Zena Cardman there on the left. At the bottom was the crew 11 that they are now, they were launched August 1st, so they're in their 2nd week of space complete. Zena on the left and Oleg on the right are Russian. They're rookies, but Michael Fink in the middle and Kimiya Yui of the JAXA agency. Fink has been up now for about 300, almost 400 days total on 4 missions. And Kimiya has been up there almost over 160 days now on his one. He was up there in 2015. And then this MS-27 crew that went up on the Soyuz spacecraft is Johnny Kim, American, and 2 Russians. And Johnny's a rookie, and he's been up there since April 8th. Okay, so they've been up there about 140 days, 135 days now. This is Expedition 73 going on. It was segued to 74 pretty soon. Yeah, on the bottom there, Xena. So we got 3 Americans, 3 Americans, 3 Russians, 1 Japanese, and 3 Chinese orbiting the Earth. So glad you asked. Now you know. Well, one other little spacey news that I caught today was the fact that my notes are over here. Keep myself very organized today. Glad you're all watching, and we're going to get into some backyard stargazing in a moment here. But I wanted to bring up the fact that did this impact, this is a meteoroid exploding as a meteor over middle of Atlanta there, not too far north of Atlanta, over Georgia. all right, registered on there. This was seen in the daytime as this screen grab here. That'd be crazy to see coming down on the interstate as you're driving, Interstate 75, maybe there. The meteor that ripped through Georgia's homeowner's roof a couple months ago is 20 million years older than the Earth, scientists say. Now, how can something be older than the Earth and be in our solar system? Well, that's because everything was formed roughly 4 billion years ago uh, in a solid state way that we know now. Between 5 and 4 billion years ago, everything was a big mosh pad of there. Yes, Raj.
Our friend RJ Dubilee wanted to know if we had a projected date for the Artemis 2 launch, since we brought that up.
Well, let's keep our questions to stargazing there, my friend. Okay. And you can Google that. And yes, it's spring of 2026, as early as February, but probably it'll be something like April. So thanks for bringing that up. But let me keep my mojo going here with the meteor and astronomy stuff here. So thank you very much. All right, this particular meteor had entered our atmosphere had been in a long, long history, and they think it may have come from fragments of the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. But examining the fragments of this under microscopes, a meteor scientist concluded that it formed 4.56 billion years ago, and the Earth formed maybe as a solid body like 4.3 billion years ago. The so homeowners are still finding specks of space dust around their home from the collision. All right, actually, this blew up in the sky and then hit the earth, hit the ground, and I'm not sure how many pounds of material it was, but there's some of it, and they determined that it was a solid body before the earth was a solid body, and that's something to ponder when you're talking billions and billions of years. Now, one of the anomalies is that this is the 27th meteorite recovered in Georgia. All right, they didn't give a time frame on that. If it's the last century or it might be just ever. Yeah, meteorites being recovered in Georgia. It's the 27th one. In the sixth witness fall that people have seen a meteor come down and then gone and seen the meteorite on the ground. And the scientist says this is something that we used to see it every few decades. Okay, a meteor fall, and people see it actually fall and then recover a piece of it, maybe once every 2-3 decades, but not multiple times within 20 years is what he's talking about. So, but that's because modern technology, like the weather map showing that burst of the meteoroid exploding in the Earth as a meteorite, and of course, modern technology and social media, and people maybe are looking up more than they used to. So let's hope so. But that's an interesting story that I thought I'd share with you. So the moon is 20 years old. 20 days old, Raj. So talk like an amateur astronomer. That means it is, well, the 21. Where is it in the sky? All right. Well, at 14 days old, it rises as the sun sets. All right. So it starts rising every day after full moon, an hour later after sunset. So it's going to be in the evening sky. And when you get to the last quarter of the moon, right there, 21 days old, that rises around midnight. So that's good for amateur astronomers that want to see constellation stars, faint fuzzies, which are nebula, galaxies, and star clusters with your binoculars or telescope. When the moon's out, it kind of outshines some of those objects and you can't see them. So the moonshine is going to be in the after midnight crowd, and many of us go to bed before midnight. So the next couple weeks, we've got some good skies to stargaze, and you're definitely going to be able to see the Milky Way. But you're going to see it better. You're not going to see it from downtown Orlando. All right. And you can barely see it here in the suburbs of Titusville. But you get a little inventive, or go find a dark area in the countryside or out on the beach, some areas like that away from the city lights. You will see this band of our arm of our Milky Way galaxy. But also tomorrow night, the first quarter moon is, or 21-day-old moon, is going to be near the Pleiades open star cluster. And the Pleiades are the seven little sisters, and they are rising about 1 in the morning. And along with it, the moon will be in the vicinity, and that'll be a fun juxtaposition. They're not going to cover it up. There's not an occultation, and it's going to be about a fist away. Arm length of a fist is 10 degrees. All right. And your 3 scout signs, Scout's Honor, that's 5 degrees of the sky. So the moon will be more than 5 degrees away from the Pleiades, but you'll see that little tiny star cluster there. All right, let's get out in the backyard with our star map here. We're going to sit down with our beverage, have our star map ready with a red flashlight. And as you look up and compare, it'll start making sense to you. It's like dot to dots. Some people are challenged to see these connections. Some people are challenged to see a bear out of Ursa Major, the big bear, all right, which in fact is in the upper right-hand corner, is Ursa Major, very prominent. As you look north, you'll see the Big Dipper on the left. That's just the hindquarters and tail of the Ursa Major, the big bear. And then directly behind you is Scorpius. And at the bottom of this chart there, you can see a little curly Q at the bottom. And that is Scorpio, the scorpion. And beside it is a teapot, Sagittarius, that I'm going to talk about next week on Backyard Astronomy. To get away from the starlight like you can at the Texas Star Party, like I did in 2016, and photograph this one image. This is just a time exposure of about a minute, taking at maybe 2000 ISO on your camera. Some cameras go up to 6,000 now, but the dark areas are the actual interstellar clouds where stars are being created, and the bright areas are new areas of star birth, and a whole other hidden gems in this view. In fact, it's so Scorpio is in there, about in the middle of this. All right, it's hard to tell because you see so many stars, but in your backyard, you're going to easily see Scorpio. And I'm going to drill it into your head here that there's Sagittarius the teapot. He's the archer, and they saw a man with an archer there. But it looks like a teapot, the bright stars. Scorpio looks like a fish hook coming down. Or let's see what some ancient people called it throughout the years. I love astronomy books about constellations. They talk about things like Greek mythology assigns the constellation of Scorpion to that creature which sprang out of earth and stung to death the giant hunter Orion. So Orion is on the opposite side of the celestial sky than Scorpius. In fact, Orion is below the sun right now in the daytime. The Akkadians called the constellation the Caesar or Stinger, and they also called it the place where one bows down. The Mayans of Mexico referred to it as the sign of the death god. Some authorities claim that at the time of Abraham in the Bible, this constellation was called the eagle. And in civilizations of the Euphrates River in the Middle East, its chief star, the brightest star there, Antares, was sometimes known as the day heaven bird. The name Antares comes from the Greek meaning of not Mars. All right, not Ares. Ares is the Greek name for the Roman god of war, Mars. They were both blood red. It was why they were associated with that. And Mars is very red, like Antares. Antares, in fact, is a bloated star 800 light years away, that if we put it where our sun is, it would suck up the orbits of Mercury, Venus, and Earth and almost to Mars. It's so huge, and it's not very thick, so to speak. It's like we will see pictures of Antares' surface here with the Webb telescope someday. I don't think they've revealed those yet. But the Chinese knew Antares as the fire star. So ancients did not know, of course, the characteristics of things in space, that stars were suns like our sun, all right? So this is where the mists and so forth come in. And because this red star did not move like Mars did every 2 years, make a complete circle through the zodiac, all right, of 12 houses of the zodiac, because it didn't move, they wanted to say it's not Mars. Now, once every 2 years, Mars is close to Antares because Scorpius is one of the stars of the band of the zodiac where all the sun, moon, and planets are found because of the axis of the Earth tilted at 23.5 degrees. So, again, another look at Scorpio. When it gets dark, it is directly south. Now, to you northerners in the 40-degree latitudes, the stinger, or the fish hook bottom, with Shala, the bright star there, and Sargas, another bright star, that's going to be hard to see up in Michigan. And in Canada, the latitude is too high that it has dipped below the horizon. But here in Florida at 21 degrees latitude, I'm looking up and I can't believe how high it is up in the sky. And that fish hook look of it is just so distinct that you can't miss it. Now, what's interesting about amateur astronomy, Raj, is a lot of the constellations are named after Roman gods. The stars have Arabic names, and the ones that aren't have Arabic names were given Greek alphabet letters in order of their brightness. The Alpha is the bright star, and Omega is one of the dimmer stars in there. But the stars are fun to say. Shala means something. It means tip of the. It just means tip or end of in Arabic. There are stars that come off the up and down. We call Antares the heart of Scorpio, and then its head is towards the top where the lines are, and then come off it are some claws that you can imagine. And those claw stars are called Zubanel Janubi and Zubanel Shinali. And you're really a hip amateur astronomer when you can say those words 3 times in a row real fast. Deshuba, that's another fun star to say. That's at the end of Scorpio's head there. So now let's look at it in your backyard. Again, pretty high up. This says July, August evenings. Starting in September, it's going to start dipping down at the same time. M4 is a globular cluster that we're going to see a similar one here in just a minute. But there's Scorpio in my backyard, okay, with some clouds to it, all right? And I'm going to show you, can you see Antares? Antares is right in the cloud, and 2 stars on either side, and then you see the head stars of the claws to the right. And I outlined it for you, okay? So these are the stars you see, and this is the light polluted skies of Port Canaveral. I mean, not Port Canaveral, Port St. John. Wish it was Port Canaveral. Port Canaveral. This is Port St. John. Shula there is in the tip there. There's 2 stars right there. I point out that's 2 stars side by side. And there's some globular clusters that are bright balls of stars around here. There's nebula. And because we've got the clouds in there to show you, these are all about 3rd magnitude stars. All right. So there's without. Again, you're looking at like that. Is it making sense to you, Raj? All right. You go out with your star chart and you see that. And then with your binoculars, you can knock off one of the Messier objects. It's near the cluster that's near the red Antares there. Probably should wait for that cloud to get away from Antares make it brighter. But frankly, I didn't see the clouds when I took the picture. Well, here's another view of Scorpio with a satellite going through it, and uh, um, right here, that's the red star. There's Antares right there, and then you see the claw stars, the three up here, and the hook down at the bottom. This is again in the latitude of 40-degree latitude of White Top Mountain and the Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina border there. So globular clusters are orbiting our Milky Way galaxy, over 100 of them. Think of atoms around a nucleus, and these are the orbits that these are going around. We're very puzzled exactly what they're all about because they actually seem older than the Milky Way galaxy that we think is less than a billion years old, of the 15 billion year history of the universe. But they are packed with stars. They're like little balls of bees buzzing around each other. If you were inside there, Raj, though, the sky wouldn't be filled amazingly delicate like you look at. Was filled with stars. There'd still be a lot more stars than we see in our night sky in our Milky Way. But this is a Hubble telescope image just showing you hundreds of thousands of stars packed together in what astronomers call a globular cluster. And look at these in with your star chart. There's 5 or 6 to find around Scorpius, one right near Antares, and they're going to look like a faint little fuzzy cotton ball. All right, you don't see the stars as individual stars like here. They combine in one image of brightness. Here's another. This is at the very tippy tail of Scorpio there. It's Shulala. This would be that they call it Messier was the amateur astronomer who discovered these. M4 is we're looking at M6, and where Shala and Lisath are is a cluster of loose cluster of stars that astronomers have coined the name the jewel box, and I think you can see why. It's got these stars are not visible to the naked eye. They are visible to the naked eye, just barely. Okay, through binoculars you see them as tight little cluster of stars. Then with a telescope and long exposure, you see some color in several of them. Red means old star, okay, big and old. White means young and vibrant in star genealogy. The jewel box out there for you to find in your own backyard. Now you get different books like this one at the library for free, or maybe someone will gift you one. Books A Million, those type, Barnes and Noble, those are good places to get constellation guidebooks. If you went and got one at the library that was from the 1950s, it would still be the same stars and still mean the same thing, except maybe in 50 years we've got a better accurate distance to that star or globular cluster or whatever in there. So very fun to get different books. This one's called Constellation Guidebook. Anton Ruckel is an artist of great repute that has a lot of work in this book, but it takes the constellations and lays out where they are, and the green screens, both southern and northern. There's 88 total constellations in the northern and southern hemisphere combined. We see about 60 of those in the northern hemisphere. And combined stars that you can see from your backyard are less than, quite frankly, 500 stars can you see with your naked eye in your own backyard from suburbia. You live out in the rural areas a little bit, that'll double to over 1,000. You go to one night in the Mojave Desert, you could see up to 1,500, 2,000 stars with your naked eye. So get out and do a little stargazing. Get you a map. This is skymaps.com, free download, free to look at. You might have Encyclopedia Britannica in your house as eye candy for those bookshelves that somebody says has books on them. They'll have a star charts in there. Or on your phone. That's right, Raj. Everybody can download the app on your phone here and do some stargazing. Put it in the red mode, though. They do have a night vision mode where it puts it in red, and that allows you to look at everything and not hurt your dark adapted eyesight there. Well, didn't even look at my notes here of anything, but want you all to get out, get away from the TV, get away from social media, even get away from the book that you're reading with the cat on your lap, and go outside and take in some starshine. I guarantee you it's something that you will not forget. You will see something every night that you stay out. I'm not talking 10, 15 minutes. Stay out an hour like you're watching 2 Seinfeld reruns, okay? And which we know you do, all right, because I do too, to pass the time some nights. But here was something that I took a picture of that I did see with my eyes. At the top is a meteor streaking by. That is the Milky Way on the right side there. And in the trees is a airplane going to Orlando Airport, and another airplane blinking about in the middle on the right there. More of a probably a Cessna type plane where the bright light comes from a jetliner that wants to be saved in the sky. So, and in fact, the stars above the tree line there are stars of Sagittarius, the teapot. So, hope you've enjoyed me taking you out in your backyard. Hope it encourages you to do the same. And appreciate everybody watching as here I am mired in the jewel box. I've got my ARS hat on. Thank you, Cliff Watson. ARS is the Astronomical Research and Exploration, Astronomical Research and Space Exploration. That is Australia, not astronomical. Australia Research and I better get it right. Australian Research and Space Exploration. That's ARS, you all. And that's what they call their NASA equivalent down under. Cliff Watson, thanks for the hat, buddy. So I'm going to get back out, get a snack, get me a mug of American Space Museum coffee here, and get me some starshine. Until next time, I'm Mark Marquette saying, I can't wait to see you out in space, looking at the stars, the ultimate way to bridge the space between us.